If you've seen some of my recent videos and streams, you'll know I'm a pretty big fan of Scum. The survival game went into early access a few weeks back and has been hugely popular among PC gamers since, and for good reason too. There's plenty to love about the game, but at the same time, I've been quite concerned about how it's going to progress through early access, as we've seen plenty of games absolutely yeeted into the sun by a lack of decent, regular updates. Well, we finally have some info about what's going to happen to Scum over the next few months, so let's dig in and see what's happening. In case you're unfamiliar with the game, Scum is a hardcore, realistic survival sim developed by a small group of devs in Croatia called Gamepires. Okay, first bit of housekeeping, lads. Do you want to change that logo? Freeware, blingy ass looking typeface. There, fixed it. Now, Gamepires have been super clever about the way they've released Scum, or at least this early version of the game. First off, it looks gorgeous. The game is beautiful in my opinion. There's a couple of visual hitches here and there, but that's to be expected with an early access game. What's more surprising is how polished the game is at such an early stage. You see this sunset? I want to lick that sunset. Secondly, the price is great. It was only 16 European currency units, and as a result of that, the game sold over 1 million copies in a week, and not a loot box in sight. Good stuff. They've also included the most realistic feature I've seen in a game to date. You can shit out a massive golden desert eagle. Okay, let's see. Oh, it checks out alright. Lastly, they've ramped the amount of loot in the current game up. And I know that sounds simple, but I think it's pretty genius. Instead of releasing a game that contains less than half the features that it will eventually have and just calling it a day, they've gone back, ramped up the spawning of loot, and given us something that's still exciting to play whilst they get everything else polished and ready for the game. So what about everything else? What exactly are we getting? Well, the devs have been hard at work, and as such there hasn't been much noise out of them since the game released. But last week, one of the developers joined streamer Eroctic on stream for a lengthy play session, where he just super candidly and honestly went through everything they're working on, what they can do, what they can't do, and it was really refreshing to see. With that honesty though, came a little bit of concern. Starting out with the positives, the devs are super focused on two things at the moment: vehicles and cheating. It's fair to say that hackers have become a bit of a problem in Scum. There's guys running around with the entire Russian army stockpile of 5.56 ammo in a single AK clip. Absolute bleh. It also takes about 9 years to run from one part of the map to the other, and so we can expect to see drivable vehicles very soon. Interestingly, they seem to be taking the same approach to vehicles as they've taken to the loot. In the stream I mentioned, the dev stated that when vehicles are first introduced, they'll likely have infinite fuel, and that they won't break down, or at least not as much as they will in the final game. And again, I think that's awesome. Instead of bringing in features that are super rare and nowhere to be found on the map, they'll be giving us total freedom to really stress test the vehicles before reining them back in and balancing them appropriately within the game. 10 out of 10, excellent feature lads, thanks very much now, good luck. Now for the not so great news. At one point in the stream, somebody brings up the claim you often hear thrown around regarding successful early access games. You know the one. Oh, this game has sold 1 million copies, why aren't they hiring more developers to fix it and add more features like fishing and pottery courses? Well, the dev essentially debunked this kind of mentality, which again was really refreshing to see, but a little concerning too. He basically said that because the team is so small, and because they're at such a vital stage in the game's life, they can't really afford the man hours to pull 2 or 3 guys away from a 15-man team in order to train in a bunch of new programmers or designers or artists, which makes perfect sense. But is that viable for a game like Scum? At this current stage, Scum's roadmap is intense. The features they are aiming to include are incredibly ambitious. Everything from fortifying buildings into bases with electric fences and generators, to killing someone, chopping up their body, and making a bellissimo pizza pie out of their remains. There's a lot of stuff, and it all goes well beyond the scope of any current or upcoming survival game. And I love knowing that, but I can't help but wonder if it's even possible given how small the team is, and how they're currently unable to hire more hands. I think the biggest hint at how Scum's early access period will play out will come in the form of its first big content update. Hopefully once that arrives in October or November, we'll be able to gauge the kind of progress such a small team can make in any given period of time. One saving grace that's mentioned in Erupt Extreme is how a lot of the survival systems related to disease and status effects like drugs and alcohol are quite far along already, and essentially just need to be polished and turned on. Our only option from here on out is to wait and see, and to continue enjoying the game. I have to say, Scum is probably the best 16 finance points I've spent this year, even without its super ambitious future. Part of the appeal for me is just in strolling through the world, having a little lie down, pissing, getting diarrhea after eating watermelon, and just being a big scum in general. If you like doing any of that stuff, or just enjoy survival games in general, you should consider picking up Scum if you haven't already. It's really, really good. If you'd like to know more about what's coming to the game, I've included a link in the description to Erupt Extreme. It's long, but absolutely worth it. If you are playing Scum, let me know what you think of the current game in the comments. I love hearing stupid, mad stories from survival games. Anywho, that's all from me. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have yourself a good one.